So much of Christianity is Jewish, but you won't hear a lot about that in the church today. So I have you in studio with me, Trevor Rubenstein, Director of Good News for Israel, the oldest Jewish evangelism outreach in America. Goes back to 1878. He's a Jewish believer. Pastor Greg Stone, Assemblies of God, Jesus Assembly, St. Peter, Minnesota, and a Jewish believer as well. My producer, Larry Kutzler, has been entering in, and we're going to just wrap things up here. And I went into the break, gentlemen, saying, I want to come back, and Trevor, I'm throwing it to you. I want the listeners would like some warning signs. In other words, they have friends, maybe they've sung with somebody in the choir for 40 years, and all of a sudden that person has disappeared and said to the friend, you know what, you need to be with me worshiping on a Saturday or a Friday night and doing all the feasts of the Lord. And what kind of warning signs are there that the listener can look to and realize, oh, this is what's happened to my friend?
And I think that you touched on it exactly. When an individual's focus actually becomes more bringing somebody back to Judaism than it does bringing people to Jesus, I think that that's often one of the big signs that you have. And you'll see things where maybe someone starts wanting to pronounce his name Yahashua or something with a Yah in it, which actually isn't even biblical at all. And you know, they might even start questioning whether the Messiah is divine, wanting to study, you know, Jewish books. But it always starts in this direction. Not that those things in themselves are bad entirely, although the pronunciation's wrong. It starts from a person usually asking their pastor, asking other Christian friends questions regarding the Hebrew Scriptures or Jewish feasts. And often when they don't get good answers, they start seeking them elsewhere. And you know how the internet can be. And once they start seeking the internet, they can get a hold of some of these very extremist groups that take this in a bad direction.
All right, but what's that person to do who's being approached? You need to do this. What can they do?
So the reality is it's a tough thing to reach. You have to know scripturally what you're dealing with. You ask people what was occurring with Acts chapter 15 at the Jerusalem Council. You go through Colossians chapter 1 verse 17 and 16 and talk about what's occurring there, where they say that we are not to judge anyone based on these things. Really bringing them back to Scripture.
Greg, do you want to add to some of the warning signs?
I think that the two big warning signs are related to really the two great commandments: love God, love people. When you start to pull away from, you lose connection with the head, you lose connection with Jesus, you lose connection with people. Those are two really big warning signs. A lot of times you'll see also two really important things are connection with the head. Does it exalt Jesus? And is it biblical? When people start lifting up other forms of Judaism, for example, the Talmud.
Yes.
Well, what is the Talmud? That's 2nd century to 7th century A.D. It wasn't even around when Jesus was around. And we start exalting all the stuff that's post-Jesus, and we make that more important than Jesus.